So the shortest day of the year of 2024 saw us make the short trip over to Sheffield to take part in Concord parkrun.
So this was our 10th visit to Concord parkrun. It was the second parkrun to be set up in Sheffield in 2011.
So two reasons we decided to go to Concord today. One, our local parkrun cancelled due to the threat of wind, and secondly, our friend Suzanne, you can see here on the front row in the blue top, is doing her 100th parkrun today. So in this video we're going to take you through a full course point of view of Concord parkrun.
And we're going to provide you with a few facts about Concord parkrun and the City of Sheffield.
So as I've been suffering from a bit of man flu and Dawn is on a down week, we decided we're going to take this one easy, starting somewhere towards the middle of the field.
So on this point of view we'll be running somewhere around 9-minute mile pace.
The last time of reckoning, Concord was rated 283rd out of 767 UK parkruns in terms of speed, but I think it's actually faster than those figures would suggest because it doesn't generally attract a great depth of field, particularly at the front. So the first part of the course is relatively flat, as you can see here, but after probably about 400 metres we shall start descending down a hill, which goes on for quite a long way, so it's important not to set off too quick and batter your quads before you have a chance to really get warmed up.
Concord parkrun was originally set up by the local fire service. When it first started, numbers were quite low, getting around 20 to 30, but in recent years those numbers have grown.
Yep, we normally get an average of around 150 runners at Concord parkrun today, which is great to see. So well done on the people who set it up, and well done the people who've kept it going over those last 13 and a half years.
You'll have no problem parking at Concord because there is ample parking at the leisure centre,
which is also free, and you are also able to use the leisure centre toilets pre or post parkrun. And for a post-parkrun snack and coffee, you have the choice of the leisure centre, or a lot of parkrunners, as we did today, go into the adjacent golf club, which serve really nice cooked breakfasts.
So this parkrun is a 2-lap course and it's all on beautifully smooth tarmac.
And as you'll see in a little while, there are some grand views across the northern part of Sheffield.
Which is one of my favourite things about Concord parkrun, is those sweeping views.
The inquisitive among you may be curious as to how Concord parkrun got its name, so it's nothing to do with a big aeroplane from the 1960s and 70s. It actually goes all the way back to 1930. Now I asked on local history forums and nobody really had a clear idea, so I had to go all the way back into the British newspaper archive and found this clip from 1930 where an Alderman Graves, and if you know Sheffield or know parkruns you'll know there's a Graves parkrun on the other side of the city in a park named after him, he came up with the name Concord as meaning people getting on with each other, people agreeing with each other, and people forming a community. So it's really nice and appropriate that Concord parkrun has this community event where people come together every Saturday morning and enjoy a run or volunteering. So I mentioned that it's not the slowest course around by any means. When I checked back in another archive, that's the Parkrun 5k app, I found that my PB here was 17:10, and that was at a time where I could run 16:46 at Hull, which was a really fast course. So it's not that slow really. I also was pleased to see that I'm still 52nd in the all-time list for Concord parkrun, although one person in front of me, Callie Thackeray, I think, who holds the female course record of 16:36.
So some of you may know that Callie's father, Carl, was a very fine runner back in the day, and the family come from Sheffield.
Just starting a long downhill here, and it will be unusual to do this parkrun and not have the fastest mile as the first one, because it is a big net downhill.
But what goes down will then go up, so save something for the hill that's about to come.
So as promised, some Sheffield facts, and the first one, seeing as we're in a park, is that Sheffield has 250 parks, woodlands and gardens. So a really green city, although you might not think it unless you are familiar with Sheffield.
And Sheffield has 4 trees per person, which is the highest ratio in the whole of Europe.
I bet you didn't know that, because I certainly didn't until I did the research for this video.
So although this is a downhill, it's not steep, it's a beautiful flowing downhill. You really can get off your forefoot and bounce along. Yeah, very nice, and it could be potentially quite quick coming down here.
Some of those sweeping views of North Sheffield you can see over the hedge to the right, where there's also a golf course. Yeah, although I am probably one of the world's worst exponents of downhill running, I don't find this a particular problem. It flows nicely, you don't have to lean back and brake at all. It's a really lovely flowing downhill bit of the course this, and it goes on to about the 1k marker before you turn left and start to climb.
So yes, as you turn left here to make the climb back up to the top of the park, please remember not to leave the park. You will see there's a car park and there's an entrance that leads out of the park. We don't want to take that one. So we're about to go onto the climb. As I said earlier, leave something for this. However, it's not terribly steep, such as the going down isn't terribly steep, but you really will feel it on the second time of going around there. Like any hill, it will get your heart rate up.
You'll notice there's not a marshal down at this bottom bit of the park, but there are plentiful arrows all around the course, so the core team have got it nailed. Quite a small core team compared to many. I think it's an average of about 13 volunteers per run. So well done for the people who do turn out and make sure Concord parkrun runs smoothly every week.
So yes, climbing up here you can see that it's quite an open park. At the top of the park there's a children's play area and some artificial football pitches, but the rest of the park is really open and probably a lovely place to sit and have a picnic in the summer, or to just take in those stunning views of Sheffield as you walk around this beautiful park.
As we get to the top, you can just see the leader there on his way back down on the second lap. I think we get to pass the second place runner who is coming down, and when we glance over to the left we can see our friend Suzanne, who is battling it out for third place overall. As Dawn has just mentioned the football pitches at the top, it's the right time to mention that Sheffield is also the birthplace of club football. The oldest football club in the world was Sheffield FC, formed in 1857, recognised by FIFA and UEFA as the birthplace of club football. I think the second oldest club was Hallam Football Club, which was founded in 1860, also in Sheffield. Then I think the third oldest football club was down the road in Nottingham, Notts County. So yeah, very much in the birthplace of association football in Sheffield.
Once you get to the top of the climb, there's still a drag to go as you pull yourself around to where the start-finish area is and you start the second lap.
Now the area in which Concord Park sits is generally social housing from the 1930s and 1950s, but this building that you're coming up to now is an old crook barn, and it's quite incongruous in the north part of Sheffield. It's actually built in the early 1600s, so before the time of the English Civil War, about the time of the Gunpowder Plot of 1605. How wonderful it's still there today, and I think it's still used by the council as some sort of depot, and it is occasionally open to the public, so I do hope to visit there one day, because I do like my history, as you can tell.
And here we are just about to go past the finish line as we have another lap of the park to go.
Yeah, it's probably just under 2 laps of the park. I think we'll go by here about 1.45 miles, but yeah, one more lap and then we're finished Concord parkrun. So on the right there you can see the gates which form the entrance to Concord Park. Now they were actually not erected at the park as part of the park when it was opened, but they were brought up from Kent, from the house that was built by William Pitt, famous British Prime Minister. Lots of famous people passed through those gates when they were down in Kent, including Lord Nelson and various statesmen and Prime Ministers. So a little bit of English history in the north of Sheffield at the entrance to Concord Park. So just passing by the area where the run started and about to head down the hill in about 400 yards.
And another fact about Sheffield, the World Snooker Championships takes place at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield.
And if you wonder why it's called the Crucible, that is after the Crucible process invented by a man called Benjamin Huntsman. Sheffield was very much at the heart of Britain's iron and steel industries. It made a lot of the weaponry to fight the 2 wars of the 20th century and had a great reputation for the quality of its steel. Stainless steel was discovered here too, and Sheffield cutlery has the reputation of being among the best in the world.
And here we're just going past another fellow YouTuber, Jess. Nice to meet you this morning.
So we've covered sport, we've covered history, and now it's time to move on to popular culture, or as near to popular culture as I can muster. So 3 very famous bands from the early 80s hail from Sheffield: the Human League, Heaven 17 and ABC. I actually liked all of those. I think Human League were formed in a nightclub in the centre of Sheffield.
And the famous film The Full Monty was also filmed around Sheffield.
So just a quick run through of some of the more famous people to come from Sheffield. We have Sean Bean, the popular tough guy actor, Jessica Ennis-Hill, double gold Olympian of course, Joe Cocker, the singer, who got by with a little help from his friends. Who else have we got? I've mentioned the Human League. Oh yeah, Joe Root, possibly the finest post-war batsman in English cricket. Brian Glover, the actor, Jarvis Cocker from Pulp. So yeah, Sheffield has produced many sporting and cultural icons over the years. Oh yeah, Neil Warnock, famed for his ability to take average clubs and perhaps keep them in the top tier of English football.
And two more cultural folk from Sheffield, Bobby Nutt and Peter Stringfellow. Yeah, I think we'll leave it just there. So it turned out to be a lot warmer than we thought it was. I had 3 layers on, a t-shirt, a long sleeve top and a jacket, plus a hat and gloves. As you can see here, the jacket became undone and the hat came off.
Dawn actually had a hair done yesterday. Do you like it? What do we call that colour?
It's called baby blonde.
So if next time you went you had more blonde on top, would that be blonde on blonde? So I know Dawn's taken part in everything from 100 metres to the marathon this year, but watch this. Do you think she should take up hurdling next summer?
I tried that and I was nearly disqualified for the wrong technique.
So coming up the hill here for the second time, and yeah, this is where if you set off too quickly you will know about it. As we're just running easy, we're doing it slightly progressively and having a little stronger finish. Thankfully the man flu held at bay. I didn't get out of zone 1 or zone 2 on the heart rate on this run, so that's pleasing to report. Just passing Dave here on the left in the red festive Santa hat and top. Now Dave's running career goes all the way back to the late 1970s. He's been running, taken part in hundreds, I think probably thousands of events, parkruns races across the year. So well done Dave, nice to see you out today, and I believe you've got a race tomorrow, so good luck with that one. So there we go, a little bit about Sheffield and Concord parkrun. Sheffield's a city I hold in very high regard. It's got a soft spot in my heart. I first came here aged 18 as a starry-eyed undergraduate to read history at the university, and for most of my adult life I've lived in and around the city. I think it's a fantastic place to live. As I said, so many green spaces, so much culture. We're on the edge of the Peak District, so yeah, Sheffield, if you do wish to come and do any of Sheffield's parkruns, then I'd highly recommend them. I think there's about 6 in the city now, aren't there? We've got Concord, Hillsborough, Graves, Millhouses, Encliffe, which used to be Hallam,
and Sheffield Castle.
and I believe there's a new one due to start at Parkwood Springs at some point once the funding is sorted out by Parkrun HQ. Just passing the historic barn for the second and final time, and I believe it's about 400 yards to the finish from this point. So yeah, just under 28 minutes today. Here's Suzanne waiting at the end. She finished 4th. She took the win in the female category, or was female first finisher, or was the first female to take a finish token on crossing the line. Delete is applicable according to your parkrun philosophy. Lovely to see another Dave here handing out the tokens. Dave Needham, another fine runner who I think at age 50 did a sub 3 marathon. So yeah, plenty of inspiration from his previous achievements to be had there. So after getting scanned, there were a few freebies on offer because I think a few people were celebrating parkrun milestones today. So there's Dawn tucking into a chocolate. And here's Suzanne telling Dawn how she needs to train more on hills to tackle that hill that you do twice in this parkrun. But course PB for her of 20:45 and the top age grading for today. No chocolates for me because I'm a serious athlete. It was off to the golf club for, okay, yeah, a full cooked English breakfast. Highly recommended if you do go to Concord parkrun. So we hope you found this video informative and interesting and educative. If you have, please give it a like, and if you'd like to see our future parkruns, which we bring you around the country, then please subscribe to the channel. So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.